So today I'm sharing a webinar that I did with Pregnant and Popped partner Train with Bee. Steph and Shu Mei shared some real-time exercises that you can do at home no matter whether you're pregnant or postpartum. They share important things to look out for and practical ways to adapt simple exercises according to your level of fitness and comfort. This is for everyone. Even I can do these exercises, and anyone that knows me well knows that I don't do a lot of that, to my peril sometimes. This webinar was originally recorded live on the 4th of December 2023, and this recording has been edited to make it easier for you guys at home to follow along today. I hope it helps. Big gentle hugs as always. My best wishes, Kathy. First and foremost, I want to do a little bit of quick housekeeping, some important things that we need to say. Quick but important note, just to say, if anyone watching this does have any health concerns, please always refer to your doctors first and foremost. This is an evidence-based webinar designed to provide you with support, guidance based on the training, but we are not medical professionals. So if you have any questions regarding anything specific, any medical concerns, or questions related to your pregnancy, childbirth, or postpartum experience, please make sure that you do run those past your healthcare team. Super quick bit about me, because today is not about me. Today is all about Bee. But just so you know, I know most of you will know me through Pregnant and Popped, the baby fair that happens every 6 months. But at my absolute core, and the reason why I want to bring all of these wonderful people to you for your pregnancy and postpartum journey, is because I'm a certified postpartum and infant care doula. So I help mums essentially in the trenches in those first few days, weeks and months after giving birth. And what I absolutely love is now it feels like I have a team. I'm able to bring people like Steph and Shu Mei together to support you and provide you with that whole all-round kind of holistic, pregnancy through to postpartum support and evidence-based care. And now on to the most important part. Bee. So Bee, Steph and Shu Mei, I have been working with them now for just over a year. It was the November fair last year that we first started working together, and they did a fantastic session back then. I was so happy to have them back this November, and they've been really active in the WhatsApp village group as well. So we absolutely love having them on board. Little bit about them. So they do pre and postnatal fitness. They're specialists in that, doing personal training and small group classes. Obviously, everything that they do is with regard to safe workouts and safely taking you through each stage of your pregnancy and motherhood journey. Not forgetting that they also work with dads. We should say that as well. So I know you guys train kind of through the whole family. I also know you're now based up at Dempsey, which is a fantastic location, nice and central with the parking and, the wonderful spots to have some incredible treats afterwards. So without further ado, I am going to spotlight the girls.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, everyone. I'm Steph. This is Shu Mei.
Hi, everyone.
That was a very good intro. That saves us doing it. Thank you very much, Kathy. So we will just have a little bit of a chat to start with. We'll share some information about exercising through pregnancy and also when it comes to exercise post-birth. So we'll share a little bit of information and then we will get moving. So yes, we are a pre and postnatal focused gym. We are located in Dempsey. We do both personal training and group classes. So we do a pre and postnatal class a few times a week. So if you would like to come and check us out, please just drop us a message. So let's talk about exercise during pregnancy to start with. So if you are pregnant, the general guidelines when it comes to exercise, and this is both through Singapore, America, the UK, Australia, Canada, all sort of aligned. So the guideline is about 150 minutes, I'm about to say hours, that'd be a really long time, 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise throughout the week. So a minimum of about 3 days, but if you can be active on every day, then that is great. So that covers all types of physical activity. So it could be walking, it could be yoga, it could be Pilates, it could be strength training, it might be sports that you're playing. We do want to get a mix of both strength training and aerobic training to support your healthy pregnancy. So this is about maintaining your fitness throughout, but also preparing your body for the physical demands of both pregnancy, but also childbirth and also parenthood. Okay, as soon as you deliver, you're going to be weightlifting the whole time. You're going to be picking up and carrying babies and feeding and bouncing and lifting and throwing around. So strength training. I might let Shu Mei talk about maybe some benefits of exercise.
So generally the benefits of exercising through pregnancy is, the multiple benefits, but the main ones we want to be focusing on, especially through pregnancy, is to build muscles through your back, through, just ensuring your arms and your shoulders, just ensuring, because you are going to be carrying a baby a lot, right? They're going to come out at least 3 kilos, nice and, weighted. And coupling that, a lot of forward leaning movements through breastfeeding, through just sort of carrying your child, be it through the one side, your breasts are going to be, full of milk and heavy, and it's now growing as you're pregnant, really heavy. So you're going to start like rounding, you're going to start noting yourself sort of crunching a little bit downwards. So we want to start building a lot of muscles through the back, right? And through breath work and through strengthening through your core as well, and just sort of lifting, just to maintain a good posture, so that it reduces a lot of back aches. And then it also helps with pregnancy, any sort of complications, that mitigates it a lot as well, to stay active. And just maintaining muscle mass is super important for sort of bone density, to make sure that you are able to support yourself, touch wood, should you sort of lose a little bit of balance or even trip on something, you have the strength to sort of catch yourself in that sense. So it's one of many. We cannot just keep talking about it, but we want to just sort of highlight the really important stuff.
Yeah. The other one that we find is exercise both while you're pregnant, but also postnatally, improved sleep, increased energy, increased and improved mood as well. Also reduction in depression and anxiety. So postpartum depression, we could have a whole nother chat around that. So the anxiety and sort of those uneasy feelings that are quite common postnatally. We have an amazing selection of practitioners in the Pregnant and Popped Village. So there's a lot of resources that you can tap into. Exercise is very important when it comes to boosting the mood and helping with some of those feelings. So just before we move on to the moving part, the other thing that we'd like to note in here, both for pregnant mummies but also postnatally, the importance of seeing a women's health physio. So for any sort of aches and pains through pregnancy, they can sort of help through those. But postnatally, they will do a thorough check of your pelvic floor and your abdominal wall. So even if you don't necessarily feel like, there's something going on, or you don't necessarily feel any pains, when it comes to the pelvic floor and the abdominal wall, those are not necessarily triggered by pain. Okay, so there might be some weakness in the pelvic floor. It could be that it's, lacking endurance. It could be too tight. It could be too weak, and that you might not necessarily be feeling that. So having a thorough check by a women's health physio is one of our #1 recommendations, even if there's nothing specific that you can feel. We call it a peace of mind check. So it's sort of those sort of eyes on the inside, so that you can really understand where you are, so that you can focus on returning to exercise safely. Okay, so we might start with a little bit of breath work. So for those of you that are joining at home, this is a nice easy one to join on. We're not moving too far. We are going to be focusing on our breath. Okay, so we've got Shu Mei can be our little model here. So if you are pregnant, you will like to do this one seated. If you are postpartum, you might like to be lying down. You can do it seated or lying down. So if you are okay to be cross-legged, you're going to sit with your legs crossed there, and I think crossed.
I prefer cross.
I prefer cross. If it's uncomfortable, you can come into a bent knee, okay? So we're going to sit nice and comfortably and place your hands on the outside of your rib cage. Just try and relax your shoulders down. We're not shrugging up into the neck. Okay, so we are going to be trying to take a nice deep inhale. It's going to be through our nose and then exhaling gently through pursed lips. So we take a nice inhale. We're expanding the rib cage to the sides of the room as well as the front and the back. And exhale, keep blowing that air out. A nice deep inhale. You can see Shu Mei's hands are moving out to the sides as she takes that nice deep inhale. We have a little look at the camera. There we go. So we're moving out to the sides and exhale, gently blowing that air out. So we're sitting nice and tall here. We've got our rib cage stacked over our pelvis. And exhale. You might like to take your hands down and just relax them down onto your knees or your legs now. Can be a little much for the shoulders, but having those hands on the side of the rib cage so that you can really feel the expansion out to the sides or the front. So now we're going to add a little bit of focus to our pelvic floor, okay? So the pelvic floor is a group of muscles that sits in the bottom of the pelvis, supporting those internal organs. So we're going to have a gentle squeeze and lift, okay? So as we engage the pelvic floor, we try not to over engage our hips or our glutes. So we take a nice deep inhale. And then on the exhale, we have a gentle squeeze and lift of the pelvic floor. So it's an internal lift. And then on the inhale, we release and relax completely. So exhale, gentle squeeze and lift of the pelvic floor. So try not to squeeze the glutes. And then inhale, release and relax. So keep going like this. Then exhale to lift. Excuse me. So we want to try and hold that exhale for hold the engagement of the pelvic floor for the whole exhale. And then inhale, we want to feel a distinct lower. So as we lift and engage that pelvic floor, you should feel a distinct lift and then a distinct lower. So pelvic floor exercises, super, super important. I know they're super boring, but super important throughout your pregnancy and also through your postpartum journey. Your breath work and pelvic floor exercises are one of the first things that you can do postpartum, okay? As soon as you feel ready, you can actually start these within the first few days after delivery. Obviously, as soon as you feel ready, but this is starting to bring that strengthening back into the pelvic floor and to the deep core.
Inhale is to bring up the pelvis, or exhale?
Yeah, so we're going to use our exhale to engage and lift, and then the inhale to completely relax and lower. So it's an exhale to engage and gently lift the pelvic floor, yeah, and then an inhale, you'll relax and lower. So once we get into, and we won't go into it in detail tonight, but once we get into postpartum training and we start to bring in the deep core work, you will then start to add challenge. So as you exhale and engage that pelvic floor and we gently wrap around the midsection of the abdominals, we'll start to add challenge by adding in heel slides, gently sliding your leg in and out, knee drops to the side, gently lifting your leg up. So we're challenging the core while we're adding a little bit of instability. So that's that sort of first step when it comes to core work postpartum. Okay, we might move on now. So we're going to now come into some stretches that we can do. So this is for both pregnant and postnatal mummies. So moving our body and keeping the spine nice and fluid is what makes us feel good. We spend a lot of time, so through pregnancy, obviously we start to get nice and heavy through the front, our center of gravity changes, and we start to get heavy up top also. Once we deliver and we've got our cute little babies, we spend so much time in this position. We're looking down, we've got heavy boobs that are taking us forward. So we get super, super tight through the front of our chest, and we need to strengthen through the back of our shoulders. The other thing that we find, even when we don't have our babies attached to us, which is, let's be honest, quite a lot of hours in the day. We're on our phones. We're like this. We're looking down. You might be reading your books like this or your Kindle. So we do spend so much time in life like this, laptops, everything. So that is having our self-inflection. So we really want to counter that by bringing some nice extension into the spine. We want to move side to side. We want to add some rotation. So we're going to go through all of those movements now. These are exercises or stretches, sorry, that you can do every day. You might like to do it when you first get out of bed, especially if you're feeling a little stiff in the mornings, or whenever you get a chance in the morning, if you do have a little one at home. Otherwise, doing these before you go to bed also. It's a nice way to sort of de-stress and get yourself ready for a nice restful sleep. So we're going to come over onto all fours, and we're going to start with a little bit of cat-cow. So we're going to set ourselves up with your knees hip distance apart, and your wrists are going to be below your shoulders, okay? So fingers are spread nice and wide, so we've got a nice wide base of support. If you do have any wrist issues, you might like to come up into your fist, okay? Otherwise, if you've got some little yoga blocks there or some dumbbells, you can lift them up. Otherwise, adding a towel or folding the front of your mat over so that you're slightly elevated, this might feel a little nicer for your wrists. So we're going to be in a nice, okay, so we're going to move our spine now. So we're going to take a nice deep inhale to prepare like we did before. On the exhale, we're going to tuck the tailbone under. We're going to start rolling through the spine, gently tucking your chin, looking down towards your knees, and really pressing up and away from the mat. We take, excuse me, a nice deep inhale, and then on the exhale, we start to roll through the spine. So we're trying to get as much movement through the spine as we can. We take an inhale, and then exhale, we roll. So we're going to press up and away, really trying to separate the shoulder blades here. Inhale, and then exhale, we roll. So if you are joining at home, or if you're going to follow this later, you might like to do about 5 or 6 in each direction. If you prefer, you also might like to hold that position, okay, especially coming up. Okay, so this exercise is safe for both pregnant mummies and also postnatal. Let's just do one more in each direction. So as we're looking forward, you want to gently tuck your chin so we're not overextending through the neck. And we are going to come into a little bit of core and back work now. So we're going to settle in a neutral position with our spine. So you'll see here in a nice neutral position, we've got our wrists below our shoulders and our knees directly below our hips. So Shu Mei here has got her toes tucked, and we are going to come into an opposite arm and leg extension. So we take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, we're going to slide our right hand along the mat and our left leg along the mat. And then we're returning back to our starting position. Coming to the other side, exhale, we engage and we extend. So you'll see Shu Mei's keeping her hips nice and still here, so we're not letting our hips move from side to side. And return. Exhale, we engage. So as we engage, like we did before with our breath work, we have that gentle lift of the pelvic floor, and we want a gentle wrapping feeling around the midsection as we extend. If you are feeling nice and confident and stable in this position, we're going to add on, and we're going to be lifting our arm up to shoulder height and our foot comes up to hip height. And then inhale to return, exhale, we engage, pelvic floor, gentle lift, gently wrap that core and we extend. If you feel like you are moving a little from side to side here, you can find somewhere in between those. So you could either go back to keeping your fingers and toes connected to the mat, or you might like to lift just your leg or just your arm. We're going to do one more on each side. So this exercise here is working our abdominals. We're also working the muscles down through the back here. And we are going to come into a child's pose now. So we're going to take our feet together, separate your knees, so your arms will come out in front, and we're sitting back onto our heels. Those of you with a larger pregnant belly, if you're a little further along, you might need to just take your knees a little wider. You might not be able to come down quite so low. Otherwise, you can elevate your hands if you have a yoga block or a roller or cushions or something, just to bring your hands a little higher. So we want length through the spine here. Nice deep breath. It's a nice deep inhale. Really try and work your rib cage with your breath. And then exhale. Gently blowing that air out, and feel like you can get a little deeper into this stretch. So you might like to hold this stretch for about a minute. Nice deep breaths. And on the next one, we are going to come into some stretches for our hip flexors. So our hips get nice and tight through pregnancy and also through postpartum for different reasons. And we also spend way too much time sitting down. So we're going to come into a kneeling hip flexor stretch now. So we're going to come into that nice tall kneeling position. Our knees are hip distance apart, and we're going to step 1 foot forward. So we want to stack ourselves up nice and tall. So you see Shu Mei's got a nice vertical spine here. And from here, we're going to gently tuck your tailbone under. So we're going to have a little pelvic tilt. Shu Mei might, over-exaggerate it with her hands there so that you can see. So we're gently tucking the tailbone under. And then we're going to lean forward into that front knee while keeping that pelvis slightly tucked under. That's it. We're going to just ease off ever so slightly out of that stretch, and then exhale, we come forward again. So we want to try and keep that pelvis tucked under throughout. And exhale forward. Nice to see some people joining from home. And exhale forward. So when we have something that is really tight, and often the hip flexors are really tight, it's nice to be able to come gently in and out of those stretches. So you'll see that Shu Mei is coming through on the exhale, and on her inhale, she's gently easing off. And then exhale, coming forward. So you might like to come in and out about 10 times, and then on the last stretch, you will hold. So we might do 2 more. And on the last one, we're going to come forward and hold. So we've still got that tailbone gently tucked down. So we've got that little pelvic tilt, and we're coming forward and we're holding. So you can see Shu Mei's got her hands on her knees there. You can have those up there. If you've got the range, you might like to have them down on the mat beside you. If you have yoga blocks or some cushions either side, whichever gets you the nice stretch here. So we're going to stay here for 3 more breaths, nice deep breaths. On each exhale, feel like you can get a little deeper into this stretch. Last breath here. We're going to add a gentle side stretch now. So whichever knee you have forward, Shu Mei's got her right leg forward. So whichever you have your front leg forward, that hand is going to be on the outside of your leg, reaching down to the ground. Your opposite arm is going to come up towards the ceiling, and we're going to just gently lean over towards the side of your front knee. If you've got the range, you can have your fingertips touching the ground. Otherwise, you might need a yoga block or a cushion to elevate slightly. Otherwise, you can see Shu Mei's come up and placed her elbow onto her knee for some support. We have 2 more breaths here. Okay, so let's come in and out. So we're going to come in and out 10 times. So we've got that tailbone gently tucked under, and we come exhale forward into that stretch. Inhale, just easing off slightly, and exhale, we come forward. Keep that tailbone gently tucked under. You can adjust the position of your front foot if you need to, depending on how your ankle's feeling, your ankle mobility there. We have 3 more like this. Using your breath, exhale, we come forward. Inhale, we slightly ease off. 2 more. And let's hold our last one. So we're coming forward and holding this last stretch. You can have your hands resting on your knees. If you've got the range, you might like to take them down to the mat. You've got something to rest on. A couple more breaths here, and then we'll add in a little side stretch. Last breath, and then just ease off slightly. Let's take our hand to the outside of your front knee. Your opposite arm will come up, and we gently lean over to the side. So again, you can rest onto your knee if you need to, otherwise onto the ground, or yoga block, or cushion, or something to elevate slightly. Nice deep breath. Inhale, really work that rib cage. Exhale, so you can get a little deeper into that stretch. And then easing out slightly. And we're going to come into a cross-leg position. Everyone is okay, cross-leg, and we're going to come into a side stretch now. So our spine, as we said before, we need to do flexion and extension. So we've done that through our cat-cow. Now we're going to be moving side to side. So if you are comfortable sitting cross-leg, come into a cross-leg position. If not, you can come into a 90-90. So Shu Mei will show you that now if that one is more comfortable for you. But otherwise, let's come into cross-leg. So we're going to sit ourselves up nice and tall. So again, we are stacking our rib cage over our pelvis, and we are going to take one hand to the side, opposite arm comes up to the ceiling, and we're going to lean over to the side. Coming back to center and switching to the other side. So it's an exhale as we stretch. And then inhale, coming up and over to the other side. You can keep it nice and fluid, switching sides. So again, we recommend keeping it nice and fluid to start with. So you might like to be moving side to side, not holding that stretch for a long time for the first few, and then we will hold. Let's hold this next one, and we stay here. So you can bend your elbow, you can come all the way down onto your forearm if you've got that range. We want to be driving your opposite hip down into the mat. So you'll see that Shu Mei's not letting that opposite hip or knee lift off the mat, so that we can really maximize this side stretch. Nice deep breaths in. Deep inhale, exhale. Feel like you can get a little further into this stretch. Last breath here. A nice deep inhale, and then exhale. We slowly come up, and let's come to the other side. Exhale, we switch sides. That's it. So again, we're driving that opposite hip down into the mat. Nice deep breath. Take the last breath here. Nice deep inhale, slowly come up and over. We're going to come to the first side. We're coming into the side stretch again, but adding some rotation. So we'll come into our side stretch. So exhale, we come all the way over. We take a nice deep inhale. On that exhale, we're going to rotate our body and reach that top arm forward. So we're reaching out into space. If you've got the range, you might like to bring that hand all the way down onto the mat. Whichever gives you the best stretch, you can find that angle. Nice deep breaths here. Last breath, we take a nice deep inhale, and then exhale. Slowly we unwind to face the front, and we come all the way up and over. Let's have one more on the other side. Inhale to prepare, exhale, we stretch. We take a nice deep inhale, and then exhale, we rotate, reaching that hand away. Otherwise, bring it down onto the mat if you've got the range. And nice deep breaths here. Two more breaths. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale, we rotate to face the front, and we slowly come all the way up. All right, so we're going to come back over into our 4-point kneeling position, and we're going to add some rotation of the spine. So again, we can do this for both pregnant and postnatal mummies. So if you need to, you can be on your fists again. Otherwise, we've got our hands nice and flat. So we've got ourselves set up with our knees hip distance apart. Our knees are directly below our hips. Our fingers are nice and spread, and our wrists are directly below our shoulders. Okay, we're in a nice alignment with the spine. You're going to take let's start with your right arm. You're going to take your right arm out to the side of the room, and we inhale, open and reach towards the ceiling. Exhale, we rotate and come all the way through. So you can bend that left supporting elbow as you come all the way down, bringing your head and your shoulder towards the mat. Inhale, we open and reach towards the ceiling. And then exhale, we come through. Head and shoulder down towards the mat if you've got that range. Then inhale as we open and reach. If you're adding this into your morning or your evening routine, you might like to do maybe 5 or 6, depending on how you're feeling on each side. Let's do one more here. And then coming back to our starting position, and let's come to the other side. So we take our left arm out to the side, nice and strong for that supporting arm. In the inhales, we open and reach. Exhale, we dive through. You can bend that supporting arm as we reach our hand all the way through. We have 3 more on this side. We're trying to keep our hips nice and still as we maximize that rotation of the spine. Last one. Okay, we are going to come down onto our side now. So this is a strengthening exercise that we're going to be working through the side of the hips here and the side of the glutes. So this is a great exercise for pregnant mummies as well as postpartum. So we're going to come into some clamshells. So we're going to be lying down onto our side, all the way down. You can either prop your head into your hands, otherwise resting your head down onto the top of your arm, whichever is more comfortable for you. So we're going to have our, pop myself over here. So we've got our ankles, knees, and hips all stacked on top of each other, and your feet are in line with your spine. So you should have your feet, your hips, and your shoulders all in a nice straight line from each other. Our hips are vertically stacked. Okay, we take a nice deep inhale to prepare. On the exhale, we're going to keep our hips still as we open that knee up towards the ceiling. And then inhale, slowly we return. So we're keeping our hips stacked throughout. We're not letting that hip open, this way, open, as we lift that knee. So it's an exhale as we lift that knee. So we're working through the outside of the glute here. So we use our breath. Exhale. We have that gentle lift of the pelvic floor. We're wrapping our core gently as we open that knee. And we slowly lower. So we try and lift and lower at the same speed. We take our full exhale to open, and we're taking our full inhale to lower. So we're not letting gravity just take that knee and slam it back down. We're controlling it on the way down. So we're working these muscles in here. So we're working the outside of the hip and the glutes there. We're going to do 2 more. Last one. And we're going to take just a tiny little break here. And then we're going to add on. So if the next one is a step too far for you today, you might like to come and do a second set of the clams, but we'll show you a couple of progression. Okay, we're going to take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, we open and we leave that knee where it is. We now extend our legs. We're getting our leg nice and straight, pointing your toes. Feet come together, and then we close the knee. feet together, and then you close the knee. So we open, we extend, we're straightening that leg, point the toes, engage the quads, feet come together, and then we close the knee. So again, we're trying to keep those hips nice and still as we open and extend. I didn't tell Shu Mei we were going to do this. That's why she's looking at me like that.
Been ambushed right now.
I like to keep her guessing. We have 2 more like this. So you should be feeling a bit of heat coming into the outside of the hip now. Was that a question from someone? No? It should be your last one. We close and we have a little rest. I'm going to show you, we are going to show you one last option here. So you're going to take that top leg and take it nice and long. Yep. And bring it down. Yeah. So we are going to come into a straight leg lift and lower now. So your top leg is nice and straight. It's in line with your spine. Okay. It's an inhale as you point your toes and lift your leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're going to flex and reach the heel away as you lower. Good. Inhale as we point and lift. And then exhale as you flex and lower. So we're adding in this little point and flex at the ankle here. This is nice to get a bit of movement through the ankle. And you'll feel a little bit of work through the calves as well. For those pregnant mummies, ankles can get a little tight. And we might, at the later stages, you might get some swelling. This is a really nice way to get a bit of extra movement through the feet and the ankles. So if you are going to add this into your routine, you might like to do maybe 10 clams, 10 of the open and extend, and then 10 lift and lower. So again, we're aiming for a nice even lift and lower. So we're really controlling that leg down and not letting gravity do its thing. Let's do one more and then we'll come to the other side. And we rest. So we're going to roll ourselves over to the other side. You do have 2 legs, so we need to make sure we're nice and even on both sides. So we're going to stack ourselves, ankles, knees, and hips on top of each other. Feet are in line with your spine, and we've got our hips vertically stacked. So again, you can have your head resting down onto your hand, onto your upper arm, otherwise popping your head up into your hands. We take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, we keep our hips nice and still as we open that knee up towards the ceiling and control it as an inhale as we lower. Exhale as we open. Oh, we've got someone that's joined us. An exhale as we open. And an inhale as we control that knee back down. This should be your last one. Have just a wee break here, and then we come into our open with extension. Take an inhale to prepare, exhale, we open, and then we extend. We're pointing the toes, really engage the quads, the thigh muscle there. We then return the feet together and we close the knee. So we open and extend, point the toes, bring the feet back together, and we close. Good. A few more like this. So again, you should be starting to feel a little bit of heat coming into the outside of the hips there. Take a rest if you need to. Are you counting, Shu Mei?
No.
3 more. And we have 2 more. You see Elizabeth is working hard there. Should be your last one now. We come together, knees closed, and we have a little rest. Our last variation here is our straight leg lift and lower. So when you're ready, you'll take that top leg nice and long. Your feet are about at hip height. Am I in the way there? And we're going to point the toes as we lift. It's an inhale as you point and lift. On the exhale, you'll flex and reach the heel away as you slowly lower down. It's an inhale as you point and lift. And then exhale as you flex and lower. So we're sliding that leg completely vertical and then back down again. So imagine you're lying against a wall. I'm going to slide it up the wall and then straight back down the wall. So we're not letting the leg move either forward or backward off that line. We point and lift and flex and lower, keeping our hips nice and still. An added challenge here is to have the bottom leg straight as well. So the straighter that bottom leg, the more instability there is. So you find that you'll need a lot more core to help keep you nice and stable. We have 3 more. 2 more. And last one. Good. And let's come up into a seated position. Have a little rest. If you've got a drink there, you might like a sip of water. So this is for pregnant ladies and postnatal mummies too. So if you do have you don't need one, but if you do have a ball, we've got a nice soft, squishy Pilates ball here, but if you've got any type of sort of largish ball at home, you don't need to go and find one now, but a soccer ball, a volleyball, otherwise a cushion or some rolled up towels. So we'll do that with a cushion tonight. So if you do have something to place between your knees, you can do so, but you don't need to. We can definitely do this without. So we're going to be coming down onto your back. We're not here for very long, so if you are pregnant, don't stress, we're not here on your back for very long. So you're going to come and lie down on your back. You've got your feet hip distance apart, and they are nice and flat on the mat. Get your shoulders in a nice comfortable position, so they are sitting flat on the mat. Your arms are long by your sides, palms are facing down. Okay, neck is relaxed. So we remember our breath work and our core engagement. We take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, we have a gentle engagement of the pelvic floor, gently wrapping our core. Inhale to relax, sorry. Exhale. On the next one, we're going to be coming up into our glute bridge. We take an inhale to prepare, exhale, we engage, and we're going to squeeze our glutes, press down through our feet, lifting our hips up towards the ceiling. And it's an inhale at the top, and then exhale, we're going to come all the way back down. So we're not rolling through the spine. We don't have spinal articulation here. We're coming straight up and down. Then exhale, we engage, and we squeeze our glutes and lift. If you do have something between your knees, you can have a gentle squeeze of that ball or that cushion at the top. We take a nice deep inhale at the top, and then exhale, we come down. We will change the breath up in a moment so you can feel the difference. If you don't have a ball or cushion between your knees, imagine that you do. So you have a gentle squeeze on that imaginary cushion, so you will feel your inner thighs engage. It also helps to keep your knees running nice and straight. They're not flaring out to the sides. On the next one, we're going to change up the breath. We're going to come up on the exhale and down on the inhale. We take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, we engage, we squeeze our glutes, and we lift up. On the inhale, we slowly lower all the way back down. So you'll feel that change. It's an exhale as we engage and lift, gently squeezing your ball or your cushion or your imaginary cushion. And then on the inhale, you can release that tension slightly as you come all the way back down. So we should be feeling glutes and hamstrings working here. You'll also feel your quads. And we're coming down. So you'll see that Shu Mei is in a nice straight line at the top of that movement. We've got a gentle tuck under of the tailbone. So we've got our glutes working nice and hard. We've got a nice straight line from our hip, our knee, our hip down to our shoulder. Core is working. Let's do one more like this. And coming all the way down and then rolling over onto your side to come up. Okay, My croaky voice is running out of steam, so I'm going to swap over with Shu Mei. I'll be the body. Shu Mei can talk with us through our next exercise.
All right. I can't feel my legs right now.
Sorry, croaky voice.
All right, so we're gonna now continue working with your legs and your glutes and strengthening it, because the reality of having strong legs and balance and single leg balance is that you're going to be doing a lot of level changing, what we call carrying your baby and having to go from picking them up and standing and stuff like that. So we're going to start strengthening with some body weight squats first. Okay, so how you want to set yourself up is essentially by about slightly wider than hip width. Okay, we'll move the mat so you can see it.
See a little better.
Okay. Yeah, so you want to be slightly wider than hip width, all right? Find comfortable position for your hips. So everybody's squat stance varies different to different. If you are prenatal and your bump is obviously sort of, your hips are getting a little bit wider, go and opt for a slightly wider stance, what we call sumo stance. So bring it nice and wide until you're where it's comfortable for you. Right. We're just going to be working your squats. So with your squats, you want to be initiating the movement from your hips rather than from your knees. Try to find it better. Okay. So you want to imagine and visualize when you're doing squats to be doing like you're sitting back into an imaginary chair behind you. Right. If you have no knee pain, no history of knee pain, having your knees track past your toes, perfectly fine. Right? You want to be just making sure that you're engaging through your hips first, just so that you're always switching on your glute muscles first, as opposed to initiating from your quads, right? Aim to try and get a little bit of range through your squats. 90 degrees is ideal, deeper, even better. But if not, just work with what you can, right? If you have knee pain, you're then opting for something more of a slightly more sit back. So your body is actually going to tip forward a little bit, but you want to aim to try to keep your knees on top of your ankles. So it really just varies. You're still going to be feeling a lot of work through your glutes, right? What you want to make sure that you're not avoiding, especially if you have a mirror, it's really good, is that if you were to initiate from your knees first, you're going to see a lot of forward movement, right? And then you're honestly just going to feel it all in your thighs, the front, and not your bum, all right? So remember to shift your weight through your hips and work those glutes. So we're now going to progress it into a calf raise. Right. So with that calf raise, we're going to go nice and deep into that squat. Imagine getting your bum between your heels. On the exhale, you're just going to go and roll up to your tippy toes on the exhale. All right. And you're going to hold it there for about a split second and gently lower yourself down. All right. On the exhale, lift, hold it there. Inhale. You're going to slowly, gently lower back to your heels. You can take a split second break before you go down for the next rep, or if you can flow through it, even better. But just follow breathe through it. So inhale as you go down. Exhale, you're going to go into your tippy toes. Challenge yourself. If you find a little bit unstable in your tippy toes, hold it there for as long as you can. Be mindful of how your weight's shifting. If you need a little bit more support, find yourself against a wall or something that's nice and stable. It's not going to topple, and you just sort of get yourself into a nicer, comfortable position and get that heel off the ground. Okay. Next, we're going to actually try and do a nice little progression called what we call a ground get up. All right. This is just more of, we do this a lot in our prenatal class, purely because, you know, we have a lot of moms who have more than one kid, and they're going to be holding one kid, have to nurse, and then sort of get up, right? So what we call is a level change. If you have a weight, great. If you want to practice with your child, even better. You can also do this,
a 4
kilo baby. You can also do this body weight, right? This is really just about getting balance and connecting to your breathing while you are sort of, it's just practical application. So functional movement through this, right? So you're going to start in a kneeling position. Your heels are going to, your bum is going to be resting on your heels, right? And you're just going to just take a nice big inhale, right? Breathe into your rib cage. On the exhale, think about lifting your pelvic floor. You're going to come up into a half kneeling position. You're going to bring one foot forward into that lunge. And we're going to shift your weight over to that foot that is in front, and you're going to push yourself into that foot, push your weight into that foot to bring yourself forward. So you want to be essentially doing like a pull movement, right? You're then going to reverse it. So you're going to bring that left knee down. You're going to go back into a half kneeling position and then come back into a seated. Then you're just going to switch and alternate legs, right? So you kind of come up, right? So now left foot forward, shift that weight. You're going to tuck your back toes, shift that weight over that foot that is in front. Exhale, pull yourself forward. You want to be doing this about 6 to 8 reps on each side. And then just just remember to breathe. Think about lifting through that pelvic floor, engaging as you come up. So front facing, it should look like this. If you need to, if you find that you need a bit more stability, also do it against the wall, all right? We want to slowly build that strength up, all right? A progression obviously is to then go completely into a side seated. To be fair, I only know Steph can do this, even I can do it. You're then gonna go into a nice little open split, all right? And then to progress it, you're just gonna tuck yourself into a 90-90, shift that weight forward, and then introduce that. So you're gonna, if you wanna do this, then also progress it, do 8 reps of the previous exercise, progress this to another 6. So that is one way, that's one exercise that you can do at home, all right? You can pick up anything to help you with it, book, even just a water bottle almost. All right, so that now we're going to work what we call your back muscles, the most important stuff that we want to, especially if you're doing a lot of phone, computer, last exercise, obviously. I know we've got a little bit ahead of ourselves. We're super excited about exercise, you can tell. So if you have a resistant band just like this, easy to find in Decathlon. This is on the Pilates section. This is an open band. Super cheap as well, accessible, you can buy online. If not, you can also use a nice little shower towel. All you're gonna do is essentially pinch it in between your feet, all right? If you are gonna row with your right arm, you wanna pinch it in between your feet and sort of pull it across. So you wanna sort of see the towel run across I know this is so hard to explain. So you're gonna wrap it around your left and it's gonna pull diagonally across towards your right. This is just gonna be, it's not gonna have any resistance in terms of a row, but we're gonna think and isometrically hold it, all right? So what you wanna do is think about lengthening through your posture, all right? If you see Steph's posture, ears, shoulders, hips, all of it in as alignment. She can go for a slight lean just to give a little bit of leverage, that is fine, all right? You're then gonna take a nice big inhale. On the exhale, you're leading with your elbows as you roll. Right, what you're gonna do is feel a lot of engagement through your lats, your mid back, and your shoulder stabilizers. So a lot of this, okay, if you're starting to feel a lot of engagement through that upper track only, I want you to think about dropping your shoulders away from your ears. Think about lifting through your chest. You want to make sure that you're also not crunching through the front, right? So think about lengthening. You want to be able to breathe as much as you can through your ribcage and just hold it there. So if you're using a towel, you're going to hold it there and you're going to hold it as long as you can, 10, 15 seconds until you feel a little bit of a tremble. You then release and reset. Okay, if you have a resistant band at home, you're going to loop it around your feet as such. You're going to crisscross it and you're going to walk it as close as you can as to the resistance that's comfortable for you. Okay, adding a little bit of rotation is fine. You will just want to make sure that if you're prenatal, you're maintaining that shoulder and hip sort of anchored, all right? So there's no dislocation of your hips and shoulders. If you're postnatal, inhale to prepare, exhale, you're just going to think about leading with your elbows. Everyone leads with your elbows first, and then rotate a little bit through those movements. So inhale, come back to center, exhale, we are rowing. So same thing with the towels, you're always going to feel a lot of engagement through your lats, so through the side right here, just around your shoulder blades and mid back, so anywhere between your sort of where your bra strap sits. Those you're going to feel that. And then remember, if you're lengthening through, make sure you're not crunching down into your stomach. Think about opening up that rib cage, retracting your shoulders. Think about opening up from the side, from the front as well. Right. Another movement that you can do for your band, especially if you're feeling a lot of tightness through the front, is you can go for a nice wide row. So if you see Steph is doing it, you're then going to exhale, pull your elbows away from you, right? And think about squeezing a pen in between your shoulder blades, right? So same thing, drop your shoulders away from your ears, lift from your chest and row. So you're gonna bring your fist chest outside of your chest, right? For this, what we call a wide grip, high row, essentially. Okay, so that's really gonna help strengthen through your shoulders, okay? Once you're done with all of that stuff, you wanna stretch through, give yourself a little bit of a stretch. Oh, for repetitions, you wanna do anywhere between, I'd say 10 to 15, all right? Go for about 3 rounds and breathe through it. So after that, once you feel nice and worked out, we want to then get that stretch. You can interlace your fingers. You can either go fist and stretch, leading to the back of the room. You can go palms out to the back of the room. If you don't have that range, you can just drop your palms down, fingertips away from you, and just open up your chest and shine your chest towards the sky. A couple of deep breaths right there, and you're going to feel a nice little stretch through the front. Pre and postnatal friendly for this stretch. You then also counter stretch, obviously, is palms facing out, rounding your spine. So all this obviously will then stretch out all that work you did just to sort of balance it out so you don't feel too tight and too sore. Yeah, there you go. So for this couple of breaths, you can take a couple of 30 seconds to a minute about at that stretch and just throw it in. Okay, so we got super ahead of ourselves. We need to wrap it up.
Do we have any questions, Kathy? Were there any questions in there?
Oh, does the cow stretch cause diastasis recti?
Okay, so when it comes to DR or ab separation, it is caused by, so as your baby grows and grows and grows, your abdominals stretch and to the point where they can't stretch any further. So the connective tissue that runs down the center, the linea alba, oh, there you go, Shu Mei is giving you I'm sitting too close. The linea alba is connective tissue, so it then stretches, okay?
Are all these exercises okay for DR issues?
So it's not going to, so a gentle stretching feeling on the abdominals is okay. If it doesn't feel right, then absolutely you should ask your physio or ask your doctor. But a gentle stretching is okay, especially when we're in that position. Sorry, I'm sitting too close. So when the cat-cow, because we are in here, so we're getting that gentle stretching through the abdominals, is not putting intra-abdominal pressure. So the pressure from the inside pushing out is what is causing that that DR. Okay, so when we are having a gentle stretch, that's okay. If you are holding your breath or pushing through the core, then that's when we're putting extra pressure on that linea alba, on that connective tissue. So the other question is it DR friendly? So yes, so all of these stretches are, so the side stretch is fine, the rotation is fine, thread the needle. Is there anything that wasn't DR friendly?
No, I think what is really important to sort of highlight on this is the breath. So all that breath work that we do at the start all kind of ties into controlling the intra-abdominal pressure of your core. So if you are making sure that you're pre-activating through your core and your sort of abdominal area, then it shouldn't push any undue pressure on your linea alba. So it should be safe if you're sort of practicing and making sure that you're sort of
breathing through the exercises.
Yeah, breathing through the exercises.
So if you hold your breath and sort of get that straining, that's where we're putting pressure through the abdominals. Yeah,
perfect.
So when it comes to DR, the separation is not necessarily the problem. Problem is the wrong word. It's not that big of an issue if you have control. So where you can get that pre-activation with your breath, and you have the tension there and you have the control, the gap isn't as big a problem. It's where you don't have the control and you don't have that stability while you have the gap. That's where the issue comes. That's why the breath is so important. So we do everything with our breath. Everything is an inhale to repair, exhale. We get that gentle lift of the pelvic floor. We have that gentle wrapping feeling around the midsection. That's the transverse abdominis, that deepest layer. Of course, once you've got that pre-activation, you're good to go. Feel free to drop us a message. You can find us on Instagram or WhatsApp or email. If you do have any other questions that you think of later, or anyone that's watching the recording later, if you have any questions, then please reach out.
We're happy to do a sort of free PT consult as well. Then if you have any questions, you can also pose it there. We can run through a lot of these breathworks practices in studio as well. If you're interested in trying our classes, just drop us an email, say, you were in the webinar and you'd love to come and give our classes a go, and we'll happily set you up.
That's a fantastic offer. Thank you so much, guys. Because I do think, actually being in the room with you and trying some of this out will be incredible for some of the people on this call and the people that will be watching it afterwards. And thank you. I can see some people coming through doing clapping hand emojis and just saying thank you, because it's been absolutely brilliant. So really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.